All right. Good evening, everybody. Can everybody hear me okay? Okay, good. So we are going to do just like a brief, this shouldn't be any longer than 30 minutes. Really, it shouldn't be that long. Just talking a little bit about the timing of events, warm-up timing, things like that. I'm Jessica Harp. I coach from time to time in the gym. I'm a judge and I've been a floor manager for a few different meets. So I'm familiar with the process. Timers, their primary job really is to, first of all, when you're an event timer, you want to make sure that you are prompt with the timing because these do incur deductions if an athlete were to go over their time, say on floor or beam. They also can terminate an exercise. So you want to make sure that fall times are being announced loudly. But for warm-up timers, you're really the ones that facilitate the moving along of the meet to make sure that everything is moving along, that judges don't have to go to an event, sit there, wait for athletes to warm up. There's even times where coaches don't want their athletes to be seen warming up. They just want to see them compete. As a judge, we like to get there, sit down, and be ready to judge. So we're going to go ahead and get started. If you guys have any questions throughout this, if you wouldn't mind just dropping them in the chat box. So if you kind of scroll across your screen, my chat box is at the bottom center. It says chat. You can type them in there. I'll probably see them come up and I might answer them at that time, or I might answer them at the end. But I recommend typing them in as they come to mind so you don't forget them. So just in general, like we said, routine and fall timers. So routine and fall timers will stay with the judge. These timers need to be vigilant and focused. This is, it's a little bit tough because there's a lot going on. And, for beam, not only are you timing on one hand the routine, you're stopping the time if they fall, starting fall time. So you need to make sure that you're focused on the event you're at. For warm-up timers, you'll always be on the opposite side of the judges. So flight A will warm up. Once they're done warming up, and for the first event, the first rotation, the judges will be there typically they will be there when you're warming up flight, but that's about the only time. So after they warm up, you'll go to flight B, and then you should be one rotation ahead of the judges all the time. Warm-up timers are essential to keeping things moving at the meet. All right, so routine timing. I'm going to go through each event. We're going to start with routine timing. So this is when the athletes are actually competing. These are the timers that are staying with the judges. This does also include fall timing, right? So on beam, when you're timing falls and routines. For vault, really the floor managers just need to make sure, and I'm not sure if they're on here, but they just need to make sure that the chief judge on vault, or that each vault table has a stopwatch. In the event an athlete were to vault, become injured, they would start the time if the athlete has a allotted amount of time to get up. And if they don't get up, that the chief judge would start a time and then they would terminate her exercise. So really that's more for floor managers. Make sure you have a stopwatch on each of the tables for the chief judge. For bars, you're only doing fall timing on bars. There is no routine time, so that makes it a little bit easier. As soon as an athlete falls, you are waiting for them to get on their feet. That is when you will start the stopwatch. As you start the stopwatch on bars, when an athlete falls, you want to stand up, okay? You have to make sure that when you're announcing the remaining time, that the athlete and the coach can hear you. It's super important. And judges really will never tell, a volunteer, somebody who's helping us out, hey, you need to get out of your seat. But they'll see that and they'll respect that a lot more. And they will be very appreciative of that because it stops a lot of those communication issues between a distraught athlete who's just fallen off bars and most likely a coach. These are really for your 8, 9, and 10s that you want to use the fall time. Sometimes the older girls, they'll get off the bar, they'll go over, they'll chalk up, they'll talk to their coach. And again, they have 45 seconds to get back on the bar. You want to announce when they have 20 seconds remaining and when they have 10 seconds remaining. Usually by that time, they're getting back up on the bar. But if they get to 5 seconds, you'll want to announce that too. And you want to make sure that you're saying it loud enough for the coach and the athlete to hear. You don't want to get in their face. You don't need to scream. Just make sure they can hear you. Let's see. Yeah, and just a reminder with that, the time starts when the athletes get back on their feet. All right, for beam, routine, and fall timing. I would practice this a few times. So again, you're gonna have 2 stopwatches. One of them, you're gonna start the routine time, and that's when the athlete's feet leave the floor. So you start routine time. The routine is ticking, the athlete falls. You wanna stop the routine time. So start and stop will be on the same button actually. So you'll wanna start, you stop, and as soon as your feet hit the floor, you're gonna start the fall time. Again, she has 45 seconds. On beam, you don't typically have to get up and stand up and get in their face. You're kind of okay to sit there, but you still want to make sure that you're loud enough that they can hear you. There's a smaller confined area for beam that they're going to stay in. Again, some of those older athletes, or even up, down to level 4s or level 3s, at this point, they may not even know what to do when they get back up on the beam. So maybe they'll talk to their coach. Some of the older kids will chalk up, they'll get back on the beam. When they get back on the beam, you stop the fall time, and you start the routine time again. For routine time, you guys will have a sheet. Actually, I have it here. It'll look like this. Let's see. Okay, so it's gonna have the level, it's gonna have their warning, and it's gonna have their time. Okay, so an athlete gets a 10-second warning before her time is yes, and Melissa noted that everybody will have that timing sheet on the table. So it'll have routine and floor time on one side, and then it'll have event warm-up time, like a cheat sheet on the other. When the athletes, for example, a level 5 has 1 minute and 10 seconds. All fall times are 45 seconds, yes, including bars. Bars and floor, or bars and beam, I'm sorry. So for level 5, warning is at 1 minute, they have 1 minute and 10 seconds to complete the routine. So when they hit 1 minute, you'll say warning, audibly enough that they can hear you. You're not screaming at them though. And then at 1 minute and 10 seconds, you'll say time. If you do get to time, or if you get to warning and you're close to time, the judge is most likely going to want to see your stopwatch. So just make sure if you do say time, just because you say time doesn't mean that that she's coming off the beam. So continue to let the stop run, or the watch run until she's off the beam. You'll stop the stopwatch. Sometimes the judges will ask for it, sometimes they won't, but you'll want to have it ready if they do ask for it. So that's beam. Floor. So floor routine timers, and I noticed that's a section I'm missing on this cheat sheet, but that will be up here too. You'll have floor and then the time for the gymnast. Okay. The floor timing starts when their music starts. It ends on their last movement. So when they, go to their final pose. Not only are floor timers timing the routine, and sometimes the judges will want to look at it. Sometimes they won't, if you get close, or I think most of the time, actually, the judges will want to look at it, particularly in Excel. So the floor routine timers will also be doing the touch. Athletes have 30 seconds to touch the floor. You will not have a warm-up timer on floor. Essentially, your touch timer is your warm-up timer. So the one thing you want to keep an eye on here is you want to have at least, until you're getting to the end of the meet, you want to have at least 3 athletes usually touching at the same time. Okay, and those are athletes that are getting in, they have 3 touches, 30 seconds, and the coaches will be aware of that. So you don't typically need to count the athletes and how many times they're touching the floor. That's too much. But you want to tell the athletes, you know, either 10 seconds or time, and they'll finish what they're doing and they'll get off the floor. Usually athletes will have in their head what they want to do when they get on the floor. So you don't have to worry too much about, you know, screaming time across the floor to them, but they do have 30 seconds in the touch. The judges don't want to see them out there for 45 seconds, you know, so just make sure, again, you're loud and you're audible when they do hit that 30-second time.
Hey, Jessica.
Yeah.
This is Tara. The timing for level 10, you don't start the timer until the movement of the athlete, not the music. That's what I was taught all the years.
You stop the time on their movement.
Yeah, and I was told not to start the time until their first movement.
Okay. I will put a clarification in notes on that. Don't be afraid also to talk to your judges.
Right.
If you have a question, go ahead.
Yeah, I've done level 10 for probably the past 7 years. And Judy does the judging on the floor. Yeah. And she's always told me not to hit the time in until as soon as they first move. So I don't know how it is for the other levels, but
it would be consistent. Yeah. Okay. Thank you for that clarification. And I will, again, I'll put that in the notes. So on these cheat sheets as well, you'll have like you'll have the box, and then there's little notes at the bottom right here. And those will be like big 8.5 by 11 sheets. All right. Okay, so then for warm-up time, on vault, I think for the most part, the vault timers are, the coaches might be responsible for timing that, but in the event that you are a vault warm-up timer, all of the athletes' time is blocked together. Their time is on the sheet. At level 6 and level 7, because they do have a different vault setup, they are allotted a 2-minute warm-up time, where on bars, beam, and floor, they only get 1 minute and 30 seconds. On vault, they get 2 minutes per athlete. So you'll want to keep that in mind. It'll be annotated on the sheet, but it's in a separate column. All the athletes in each flight need to have their time blocked together. That means you don't start the time and then stop it for different gyms. The clock just keeps running. You can give them a 2-minute warning, usually a 1-minute warning, and then usually they're pretty much done by that point. But you can also give them a 10-second warning or a 30-second warning. Let's see. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay, so also on vault, you start the time once their feet hit the board. So once the athletes, you know, they can do run bys, but once their run by is like where they would leap past the board or hurdle past the board. Once they actually make contact with the board, whether they jump up and do a timer or whatever, that's when their time starts. You can also notify the coach, hey, time is starting. For bar warm-up timing, again, you'll start with one flight, you'll move to the next. Each team can block their own time. So they can either all warm up together or they can warm up separately by teams. The time, again, it does not stop for bar settings. So you don't start timing them when they're setting the bars. You start timing them when the athlete jumps and touches the bar. For level 9 and 10, it's kind of like level 6 set on vault. They do, they have 2 minutes and 30 seconds. This would be for the entire flight. It's blocked together and the time does not stop when the bars are being reset. Okay, so that's pretty easy and straightforward. Again, you'll have those charts. They say, you know, level, you know, this many athletes, and here's the allotted time. Let me see, are there any questions on that? Beam, same thing. You'll have a chart, the number of athletes and the amount of time. Athletes can, you know, one team goes and then the next team comes and warms up. A lot of the time, especially, you know, I would say level 3 or level 4 and higher, those coaches are probably going to take care of the timing for themselves. You'll still want to, you know, record it, give them warnings, but typically those coaches have their own stopwatch and their own system going so that their athletes are already in a rhythm and know what they're doing when they get up on the beam. Floor warm-up timing, we already kind of hit that. That's going to be your individual who's doing the block time is going to be, or doing the, I'm sorry, the touch time on floor. The 30-second touches, that's their warm-up on the floor apparatus because there will be a tumble strip. And so they do not, the first flight will have a timed warm-up for the first rotation of the meet. And then past that, everybody will do a 30-second touch and warm up on the tumble strip. All right, that is all I have. I got through that, I think, pretty quickly. Is there any questions? Go to the chat. So just to reiterate from the chat, Melissa Sunby said that those sheets with the kind of the cheat sheets that will be on each event. Leah asked about all fall times are 45 seconds. Yes, on bars and beam. Just a reminder, the fall time starts when the athlete gets on their feet. All right, that's all I have. So it doesn't look like there's any questions. Wow, we did that in 15 minutes. So is there a separate sheet for Excel? There is not. So I can go ahead and share my screen real quick. Let's see. And again, I need to add the 6-7 vault and things like that, but see, so you can see here. Here you'll see, so this is going to be on one side. You see the beam routine time, you have the level, Excel is on here as well. You have when you call warning, when you call time, and then specifics about that event. Okay, on the other side, you'll have event warm-up time. Again, I need to add the vault time for level 6s. So you can see that level 8 through 10 in Excel Diamond is in this section, but there's a caveat, right? So 9 and 10s on bars, they get 2 minutes and 30 seconds. So there's an extra section right here for them. And then you'll have the touches on the bottom. See. All right, did that answer those questions? We will have some events where and that's totally fine. If coaches are having to do their own warm-up, I think vault is kind of the best event to do that because you can see the judges walking next to the runway, and that's kind of your cue that, all right, we're done warming up. You know, we don't have as much time. Where can I find which level is which section? So Melissa, if you wouldn't mind resending out, I know Mary Lee emailed me a schedule, but if you could email out a schedule to everyone, I think that would be helpful. Even if they've already
that. It's also on the website as well.
Okay, cool.
The full schedule. So if you just go to Coaches Spectacular, the full schedule is on there.
Yeah, and so I have one right here. So you can see the gym. Let's see, the gym and the level and, you know, how many athletes and things like that. The really nice thing about this meet, and you don't always have this, is that I think there's only 2 sessions where you have combined levels, and level 9s and 10. Some things vary, but for the most part, their time is the same. So
I have this one that's a little shorter too. I don't know if everybody can see it, but that's kind of the condensed version of who is in which session.
Okay. All right, great. Thank you guys so much for joining us. And you can always, if you have any questions, you can reach out to your floor manager with regards to any questions, timing. Don't be intimidated or afraid to talk to the judges. You'll want to do this prior to the event starting. Try not to chit chat with the judges too much. Some of them will be chatty. Some of them do not like to chit chat, just like all humans, we have our own rhythm we work in, but yeah, so good luck and enjoy yourselves. And hopefully we get awesome gymnastics, and I will also be around during the meets. Yes. So have a good evening, everyone.